Welcome to At Issue. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is H. Wayne Wilson. The closing of two Kroger stores in Peoria, one at the Madison Park Shopping Center, the other along Wisconsin Avenue, that has heightened the discussion of what we have come to know as food deserts. Now, what the definition of food desert is, we'll have that conversation in just a moment. But it's not just an urban problem. It's also a rural problem. Grocery stores in Princeville and in Washburn and in Nauvoo have all closed recently. There is a grocery store that is active in the town of Toulon, and we're going to talk about the success of that grocery store in a moment, and we'll do that with Bob Mueller. Bob is a member of the board of Stark County Ventures, LLC, which oversees that grocery store. Thank you for being with us, Bob.
Thank you for having me.
Also involved in the conversation is Senator Dave Kaler, who is in particular is looking at the Wisconsin Avenue store, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Sharon Williams is here. She's a member of the Peoria County Board, but for our conversation, she's very involved in the Madison Park Shopping Center grocery store situation. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And the overviewer of the entire food desert situation is Dr. Leslie McKnight. She is with the Economic Development Department for the City of Peoria. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's an honor.
Let's start with, and I don't know who to ask this question of, what was the response when Kroger said, I think it was February the 3rd or so, that they announced, we're closing two stores, and they happened to be in the South Side and the East Bluff, the only grocery stores in those neighborhoods. What was your initial response?
Very scary. I started getting phone calls. I've actually had more phone calls on this issue than any other issue I've dealt with. People are scared. They don't know how to get to the grocery store. A lot of them walk. So it's a big, big concern for my area, which would be the Madison Park area.
Dr. McKnight, likewise.
Absolutely the same thing. Our office and the mayor and council members were flooded with calls from concerned citizens on how they're going to be able to get to grocery stores. What is the plan of action? What will be our response to provide alternative transportation to ensure those that can't get to the grocery stores at least have access to do so?
I want to ask, you're in Toulon, Bob. When you heard that the two Kroger stores were closing, you oversee a board that deals with a grocery store in a town of 1,300 people.
Right.
What was your response when you heard Kroger was closing?
Well, with the difficulties that we're even having now and keeping a grocery store in a small town, when I hear two large Kroger stores are closing in an urban area, we're saying, what chance do we have to really keep ours going because of this? It's just in a major urban area when they can't keep them open, what do we do in small towns?
Senator Kaler, this really, if I could take an overarching view of this, what are the issues involved here from a high level?
Well, and we've been working with community groups in looking at this, and I'm involved because one of these two stores are in my district, so there's constituents involved, but I'm also a resident of the East Bluff, so this affects me in terms of where I live. But you've got, really issues, I think they're kind of threefold. One is the health of the community. And we're talking about how do we get healthier food more available to people in all aspects of the community. Secondly is just availability of food, of any kind of food. We saw once the stores closed that all those customers from the East Bluff and the South Side basically had to go to other places, whether it be East Peoria, whether it be further out in Peoria. But the third is, if we're going to solve this problem, how do we create economic sustainability? And this is probably, I think, the biggest shock, I guess, we have in looking at our neighborhoods, and that's just the viability of them as neighborhoods. If your main anchors, the grocery stores that people depend on, can't make it or don't want to make it there, and they move out, what does that say about the viability of the neighborhood? That's a bigger issue.
You've been shaking your head in agreement all
Yes.
along. Did you have something you wanted to add to what, I mean, we're talking about health, we're talking about availability of food, and we're talking about that overarching economic.
Yes, actually, this is something that our office has been working on since Aldi's closed on Western Avenue. and it created an initial food desert for the South Side area. And so in our research with just looking at the trends of grocery stores, a lot of them are changing their business model where they're moving out of the neighborhood model to more coupling with other grocery stores in high traffic areas. There's also online sales that's impacting and deliveries. And so looking at that, the changing landscape of grocery stores and the various models, and thinking about sustainability, what is the best fit or what are the options that can be available for low-income neighborhoods? So that's been our discovery. We've been talking with a lot of community stakeholders. We've been looking at co-op models. We've been looking at a family grocery store model. And we've also been looking at some stores that have a smaller footprint.
So Sharon, with this changing landscape, and we don't know what 5 years from now the landscape may be like, what are you anticipating at the Madison Park Shopping Center Kroger site? Is it going to be a smaller grocery store? Is it going to be a brand name? Is it going to be, what is it going to be?
Well, we're hopeful that it will be a national or a regional chain. We actually have about 5 that are interested in that site. We've been sending out emails and getting in contact with those to see if they would be interested in coming. So I think we'll finally eventually get a store there, but what happens in the meantime when there's no store for the people to go to close by? The closest ones are pretty far away, Bartonville and West Peoria.
And I want to talk about that travel problem in just a moment, but is that site economically viable, the Madison Park Shopping Center?
Yes, I think so. I think it's a good location. There's a lot of people in that area. And plus it's a store, a pass-through store where people are going to Hannah City, Tivoli, those areas where they stop and get groceries there as well. So it's going to be a problem for them as well.
Let me turn the conversation to Bob Mueller. Your situation's similar in a way.
Yeah, in fact, it's interesting, as you're saying, that your store there that closed was also a stopping point for people living in Tivoli, Hannah City. Well, that's causing problems in small towns because the people are stopping at the larger stores in the Peoria area, or Kewanee, Galesburg, and then coming back and just doing milk and bread and purchases such like that in our stores.
So you're saying to Sharon,
Yeah, that's fine.
stop promoting people in Tucson buying groceries.
Well, but this is really hurt. That has hurt, but I'm saying that with that too. No, and it's true. With that is, and with us, again, it's the price and diversity of products, especially produce. And
Just a bit of history for everybody. If you could go through, because there was a time when Tony Green, who used to be the president of 974, operated a grocery store many years ago. What has transpired since then?
well, even before that, the grocery store closed in 2006. That was when the one person had been, there were 2 people. One person run for several years. Then he sold out to his family in Toulon, and they ran it for a couple years and couldn't do it. So it closed, and that's when Stark County Ventures really got involved with it. And we made a community effort. We just said, we need a store, or to the people, do we need a store? We had sent out 60 letters. We opened up a meeting at the bank basement, and that night they said, yes, we need a grocery store. And we set up the parameters there. Within the next week, we had 28 family units pledge $43,000 to buy the store. And we bought the store at the end of December. In September, Tony came in and ran it for about 2 years and had, just wasn't going for him. We were closed for about 3 or 4 months. In 2009 then, a local person who had a pizza man, I think that's what we called it, and he ran it. His daughter was running the store, and that lasted for 2 years. And he had to close it down, just wasn't making it. And then we were fortunate enough that a gentleman who owns a grocery store, a Super Value store in Wyoming, and a couple other businesses there, we convinced him to expand his footprint to Toulon. And that was going quite well till we had a little bit, something called a fire in 2014 that burned down the whole store. Now, we're a storefront store. There's no parking, on the street, no parking behind. So we, again, brought the group together, and Mr. Patel, who owns, was running for us, says, I'll stick with you if we can get this going. So we worked with the city of Toulon through the TIF district, got a large amount of money from them, rebuilt the store, opened then in March of 2016. And so, and Mr. Patel again, stayed with us and is doing it with that.
How's it doing?
Well, I was telling you
You knew
before
that question was coming.
Yeah, well, I was telling Kate, John Leeser, who you contacted, was with me on this. He and I did a presentation with Illinois Institute of Rural Affairs last year for them about our store, and we entitled it "The Good, the Bad, and the." We left it at that, and that because the future. We've used Bradley. We've brought Bradley in to do studies for us and see what's going on. We've done that's been twice. We've tried every which way to look at things, and it's hard. It really is, because just what you're saying, what we're talking about, we're there for the older senior citizen for the main, that's one of our real thrusts also, because how can they get there? But at the same time, we're fighting the Walmarts and the Hy-Vees on people who travel that route.
Transportation is an issue for many people in East Bluff.
Yeah, it's absolutely an issue. And that's probably the primary issue of why we get phone calls, because people without cars, and there's a lot of them in the city, they don't know what to do. So I've noticed myself, just in terms of bus stops, that we have a lot more people with food carts. They're either going to the store or they're coming back, and and usually their food carts are loaded as much as they can, because they want to be able to last the week before they have to go back and do that. But we've got to understand that the retail nature, just in general, and certainly with grocery stores, but in general, is changing drastically. And I think that what Bob is saying about how do you sustain that economically is really the concern that we have, and Dr. McKnight has talked about. It has to be economically sustainable. And because we've had too many starts where we say, here's an idea, let's do it, and for some reason it just can't compete, and it goes out of business, and then there's one more failure. So whatever we do, we have to make sure that we do everything to make sure that this is sustainable.
I want to address a temporary solution, because we've been talking long-term in some of these issues, but you have been involved in trying to develop a transportation system for people that is on a temporary basis in place.
Yes, and it's in place as we speak. It's a partnership with Dream Center Peoria and the city of Peoria. So we had our district council members, Council Member Denise Moore from the 1st District, Council Member Tim Riggenbach from the 3rd District, and Council Member Sid Ruck-Regal have all come together to work with Dream Center to provide bus shuttle services to the Kroger stores on Sterling and to Aldi's on University. So there is a route that's going on. It's one day the route is for the South Side, and then the next day is for the East Bluff. And the pickup spots are in community locations within the neighborhood, so like Heartland Health, Carver Center. There's even a pickup at the Kroger's on Harmon Highway. And so they are picking them up, and it's Monday through Friday from 1 to 4.
You can check that schedule at dreamcenterpeoria.org, because it alternates days with East Bluff and with the South Side.
Sure.
But that's just temporary.
It's absolutely temporary. It's privately funded. And so there has been enough funds raised to have the shuttle bus service until the end of March. So as part of a longer term solution, we are talking with CityLink right now. And CityLink, and so the Dream Center Peoria is kind of a pilot for CityLink. Dream Center Peoria is documenting the ridership. They're going to feed that information back to CityLink. CityLink is going to review whether they need to make modifications to their current bus routes or create an alternative route. But CityLink has been very open to seeing how they can make adjustments to ensure that the residents do have transportation to grocery stores, and we appreciate that.
That's only in the East Bluff and on the South Side. A lot of people that shopped at the Kroger Madison Park Shopping Center live out in Limestone Township and elsewhere. Transportation, how are you addressing that issue? Or is the focus on let's get a grocery store in there?
Well, the focus has been on let's get a grocery store there. We haven't really looked at that, but I think the Dream Center is covering that a little bit, so we'll have to see how that all plays out.
For South Side residents that go to Madison Park, but those that live on the edges of the city,
Yeah.
if transportation's an issue, if they don't have a car, all of a sudden, availability of food is a major issue for them.
Definitely. I have one woman in particular who is very afraid. She doesn't own a car. She's a retiree. She has one of those small carts, and she used to go up the hill, because Laramie, the hill, to go there, and she just can't make it now. So we're concerned about her, what's going to happen to people like her, because there's a lot of people like that. I live about 3 blocks from that Madison Park facility, and I've noticed a difference.
You mentioned that 5 companies have approached you.
Yes.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of one of them really coming forward and filling at least part of that store?
We'll have to see, but there's some good possibilities. There's one in particular that's a regional that probably nobody's heard about that might be a really good option. So we're hoping that they will consider it. They have stores in the Quad City area, so maybe there is a possibility there.
In your particular case, Kroger was renting that property.
Yes.
You've been in contact with the landlord of that property?
Yes. I'm on a committee with her.
And they're amenable to some sort of reasonable contract with whoever might come in with a grocery store?
Yes.
Situation's different for you,
Very
Senator.
different.
Kroger owns that property on Wisconsin.
They own the whole shopping center, and they have for quite some time. Mayor Ardis has done an excellent job of approaching Kroger's, keeping the pressure on them as to how they're going to help this community solve this issue. And I've been involved with him on conference calls where we have directly asked Kroger, would they consider gifting this to an organization in the Peoria area that could then take that and make something of it. Because if, and the Heartland Clinic is a major anchor in that shopping center. I think you've got Family Dollar as another one. There's some other stores that are closed. But if we lose those two, then we've got this big, empty shopping center that just becomes a blight on the whole community. And the East Bluff has been really working hard to try to revitalize that neighborhood. This would be devastating to that effort. So, thank you to the mayor, and we're going to pursue this, in the near future.
Has there been an initial response from Kroger with regard to donation or sell at a very
Well, let's put it
price?
this way. They have not said no. So we're going with that.
You notice how positive the senator is.
We're pursuing it.
Yes.
One interesting thing, you're talking about, the people missing that, but in a small rural area, what's happened with us, the first time when the store closed, it took 2 years to open. And then they're through 3 owners, or 3, not owners, leasers. And then when the fire, it took almost another 2 years. And in those 2 years, those gaps, it's hard to get the people back once you're open, because they have made, especially the ones who have the
Yes.
transportation and that ability to get them back, because now they've made connections at these other stores, whether they be in Peoria or wherever they are, and to have them just come back into a small local store it's proven very difficult. Mr. Patel felt that those first 2 years before the fire, what happened there, he was really starting to make inroads to people, it was, for him, was decent business. But since that time, it said it's been slow and sometimes not even sure, building back up to where he was before. And he's got a bigger store with new, modern equipment and things. But it's tough because people do find their way around and to make the accommodations, and once they've made those accommodations, they're not quite ready to give those up again.
I think that's a big point, and I think we have to be concerned about
Yes.
that because as people make adjustments to their lifestyle and to their purchasing habits, if we do, that's why we have to move quickly on this.
Yes.
Because if we wait too long, they've already figured something else out, and then it becomes that much more difficult to get that up and running again.
I'd like to bring up something of a similar nature, and that is food pantries. Food pantries are competition for grocery stores.
Yes.
Do you know how many are on the south side?
Well, there's between the south side and the East Bluff, there's over 20 food pantries. And many of them are through churches, and churches have food pantries as part of their ministries. And you're exactly right. That is in the grocery market, because it is a market, and that is one of grocery stores' competitors. So as we move forward, we have to be conscious of that. And as we look at it from a systemic perspective, how can we still have the food pantries but have other grocery models where people have choice. And one of the things that we've learned that as far as sustainability, it's going to take the entire city or the county to come in and to support whatever models that we create. Because you're right, I mean, our spending dollars, if we have so much choice, it stretches our dollars and businesses cannot be successful. So as we're also dealing with the impact of the online industry as well. In the county and the city, we have a shop local campaign. I mean, and it's now more than ever. We have to be intentional and look beyond our convenience and say that we want to support our community and our neighborhoods, and we're going to do that with our spending power.
And you mentioned online shopping. Amazon just bought, or not just, but recently last year bought Whole Foods. And the word is they're going to develop this delivery model, and they, of course, could spread it nationwide.
Well, online shopping has really changed how retail stores are doing business, because you have to have that component or something along with it, because you can't just do business like you used to. Otherwise, you become Sears, Roebuck, or Ward's, and you know that story. But I want to mention one group that I think deserves mentioning, and that's Gifts in the Moment. Both Kim and Denise have done just a wonderful job of bringing the concept of urban agriculture, specifically to the South Side, with community gardens, with plans on how we can take and really create. And this gets to both the health and the availability of food issue, but how we can create opportunities really within the neighborhood themselves, and that's got to be a part of this. Is how do we rely on our own resources?
Bob, has the Stark County Ventures LLC, has it looked at developing local aspects, whether that be groceries or vegetables that were grown locally, or maybe local crafts that were made?
No, not particularly our LLC. Again, the person who runs the stores, he's brought in local area like tomatoes and things like this once in a while. And Jim Nolan, he's a friend of yours for sure.
Jim only lives 3 blocks or 3 storefronts away from the grocery store.
But he's tried it over since he's been back, trying to get like the crafts, the things like this going. Another thing for Toulon is that even though we're the county seat, there are no other really purchasing places. It's not a destination place, and so it's for people to, they can go to Wyoming, which has done a really nice job of developing a street, but they're losing some of those. They've lost the pharmacy and another store there. So it's still constantly fighting. We're basic bedroom communities when you come to it that way, and so to get our people in there trying to do something. Now there's surprisingly, I think if you talk to Norm, there's a lot of businesses, little businesses, but they're not, I don't know what I was trying to say, they're not so open that everybody knows about it, and they're doing the online business. That's what they're doing. It's not local. When people, they call in and order things like this.
Bob's reference to Norm is Norm Walzer, who used to be at Western Illinois University, now at Northern Illinois University. He studied grocery stores and all sorts of things in rural areas.
Right.
One more issue that's involved is Kroger closes 2 stores, tax dollars disappear.
Yeah, the Kroger in Madison Park was our biggest tax model in Peoria County. So we're losing quite a bit. We're losing 6 figures a year in tax dollars. So that affects safety, public safety. It affects everything at the county level when we're trying to tighten our belt every year. So it's going to have a huge impact.
In the just moments we have left here, Dr. McKnight, is there, we've talked about this ever-changing landscape, and we don't know exactly what model to apply just yet. Do you have a view of what might be happening? You get out your crystal ball. As a matter of fact, if you know the answer. But what do you envision, what does the community have to do?
Yes. Well, in response, I'm so glad Senator Kayla brought up the Get 'em Foundation, because they are developing the food hub. They just signed a lease at the George Pasquale site on Adams Street, and so they have a apprenticeship program where they're working with individuals to become entrepreneurs, where they grow their food and sell their food. They do have a vision to expand for crafts or particular, like if you make jams, there's going to be this central place for local food. So that is going to happen, and that is hopefully will be supported by the entire city. Like I said, we're also talking with the whole family grocery store model, where it be selected grocery. And then we're not giving up on national retail chains, either national or regional.
The future is not clear yet.
No, it is not clear yet,
But-
but there's irons in the fire.
But believe me, the four of these individuals will find the answer, and we'll be back on the air to let you know how this is coming about. Say thank you to Bob Mueller of Stark County Ventures up in Toulon, and to Sharon Williams, who's on the Peoria County Board. And also thank you to Senator Dave Kaler, a Democrat from Peoria, and to Dr. Leslie McKnight with the Economic Development Department in Peoria. Thank you to all of you, and thank you for joining us on At Issue. We'll be back next time with another edition. Please join us then.